Okay, so hello, my name is Claudia Sanchez. This is Aaron Singleton. We are energetic healers, and we will be doing a tour this December to Egypt with Ruth Schilling as our host. Let's see. If you are not coming to Egypt with us, that's okay. This is an opportunity to learn and to have an energetic experience before you get there, if you decide to get there at some point. Okay.
All right.
All right. So
Yeah.
I'll hand you over to Aaron here.
All right. So last time we talked about the temples at Luxor, Karnak, a little bit about the Valley of the Kings. And one of the things that I asked Ruth to do is to put up some pictures of the balloon ride. So everyone will have an opportunity, if you choose to, and if you're not afraid of heights, to have an early morning balloon ride over the West Bank of Luxor. Well, it's across from Luxor, so it's the Valley of the Kings. It is a fantastic way to view the sunrise coming up over the sand and the desert coming, from the east. It is beautiful to look down at some of the statues and temples and things that you would normally see only from the ground. And so please give that some consideration for this trip. Again, especially for some of you, this is a once in a lifetime trip. And, it's on your bucket head. Maybe it's been on your bucket list, and maybe a balloon ride has been on your bucket list. So you can get both of those covered, which is really great. So when we leave Luxor and Karnak and we head down the Nile, we will be stopping at all of the various temples. Okay, the Hathors and Sobek and all the temples going down, and those are in your itinerary. So that 5-day, 4-night cruise will be fantastic. And one of the things that I hope to share with you that Claudia and I will be doing for you actually is we will be the spiritual advisors, tuning into things to be helpful, maybe a little channeling from Claudia about certain things. And we want you to feel free to come to us and ask us about things. And there'll be some things, of course, we cannot, maybe answer on the spot. We need to sit with or something like that. So when I've been on that cruise before, we've had spontaneous past life memories of, everyone in the group sitting at the dinner table, which was really, really something, remembering that you were brothers and sisters or family members or friends. And that doesn't always happen, but, maybe we can create a vortex in the middle of the river and it'll just kind of move along with the boat as we are going, as we're sitting on deck. All things are possible, especially in Egypt, because there is so much magic, so much mysticism, so much that has been lost. And it's all there waiting for us. So some of it is we have to wake up in order for it to embrace us. So that is going to be part of the fantastic piece, let's say, of what happens as we are going downriver. Now, when we get downriver, the first place in Aswan that we will be visiting will be the Temple of Isis at Philae. And we hear about the Temple of Isis. We don't hear so much about Philae, so it can get confusing. So it is at Philae. That is where the Temple of Isis is. Now, Temple of Isis is really known for its construction, its structure. It is really, really fantastic, beautiful. And, our focus will be, of course, on the spiritual aspect. What will be your downloads of information? What will be your, meditation that you take with you to say, here's what I'm bringing, and I want to allow this temple to impart into my consciousness, and, the memories of my past, or even the memories of my future. Now, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but my goal is to have everyone's name that is on the list of people that are going, and provide everyone with algorithms and individual algorithms and things for the trip. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the earlier talks, when we are all in the King's Chamber, everyone will have their own numerical algorithm to say. And when you say the algorithm, it will, let's say, increase the resonance of your mind, of your consciousness with the King's Chamber itself, and allow you to be able to receive even more. Now, as we cruise down the river, there are some of you that are going to be more in tune with one temple than another. So I'm going to tune into that for you. Claudia's going to tune into it also. So we kind of like combine our energies and information to say, okay, yes, this person will get more resonance with this particular temple. So we will put together the algorithm. Let's say that you can say in the Holy of Holies, or as you're at the temple. And so let's say you're at the Temple of the Hathors, you will really be in tune with that because you'll have an algorithm that really like puts you in sync with that temple. So that is going to be a really fantastic thing. Now, for those of you that have been using the pyramid that I created some time ago, Claudia and I have been playing with it. Matter of fact, several people have been using it at least 3 times a week. So that was the pyramid that it has 3-inch base and kind of 6-inch sides that you would put under your chair or that you would stand over, and then you would say, "I remember Egypt." So that is still available, or Margaret can send that out. Make sure everyone gets a copy of how to build it. And it really, really goes a long way to prep you. You will actually, if you're not already doing it, you will actually start receiving downloads from Egypt now, because you're attuning yourself by sitting over that pyramid. So that is a great way to kind of get ahead of the game. And so much information for us has already been coming. Matter of fact, it's been keeping us awake at night sometime.
Yep.
So sometimes we kind of get glimpses. I've had images of like being the falcon and flying over the temples, especially at Karnak, and just seeing everything from above through the eye of Horus. And I have lifetimes there myself. Claudia has a couple of lifetimes there. I'm sure that some of you have a few past lifetimes there. So if we can wake all of that energy up, all that information up, and just really receive, because that's what this is all about, is going there to receive the information, wake up what we have lost, bring it back home. I know Ruth had mentioned, about having a recording device, and I'm a pencil and pad person myself. So I like to draw, sketch things for me and write my own little notes. And so a little half-size sheet of paper pad kind of works for me. And so you kind of figure out what works for you. You're going to have a separate recording device, use your phone, and you're going to see what everyone brings back, and how many of you end up writing books and creating new healing modalities and all kinds of things, because that has happened with us on prior trips. So we look forward to hearing from all of you concerning that. Now, the going down to Philae, there is a little museum there. And when I was there last time, I actually found a statue that had like a hand position. And the hand position, actually, if you hold a person's body in that particular way with your hands, you can transfer all of your consciousness, all of your knowledge into that person's brain, mind, consciousness, however we want to say that. So those are things to look for in the different museums and on papyruses and all kinds of things. So we'd like to point some of those things out when we're at all of the places that we're going to be, whether it's going to be in a temple or in a museum. And there is a little boat ride that goes out to the Temple of Isis, kind of sits like a little island out there. And the temple itself, I would just say, like I said earlier, it's the architecture. It is one of the most beautiful temples, that we will visit. Some of the others are grand in size, but they're not as laid out as well as beautiful. And it's not about that. And it's really about, the Holy of Holies and what we will receive when we're in there. One of the things that I have shared, and I'll share again right now quickly, is how to balance your chakras when you're going into the temple. So if I believe everyone is sitting right now. So just let's say everyone take their right hand, put it about 6 or 8 inches above their right thigh. So not at your knee. So let's say your fingertips are closer to the knee, but your hand is like over the thigh. As you move up and down a little bit, you'll find a place that just feels right. You'll feel the energy kind of stop you. And just by putting your hand above your thigh in that way, you can balance all of your chakras. So take a moment, feel that. Some of you will feel your chakras going into balance very quickly. Others, it will take a little longer. That's okay. But if you think in terms of going into any temple, especially going into the inner sanctum or in the Holy of Holies, you can't enter temples unless your chakras are balanced. You can't just go in there like a tourist. So we will not go in there just like a tourist. We will know how to balance our chakras and enter properly. Okay. Now, I discovered this on the papyruses in, let's say, in the museums in Cairo, and of course, in many of the books that I have here. So if you're standing and walking, you would let's say, strike a pose, have your right leg as your lead leg with a little bend to the knee, put your hand out in front of your right thigh, just letting it, extend. And you would do the same thing. You would just balance your chakras as you are entering the temple. And there are so many hand positions. I documented about 35, and that was back in the 06 trip. So we're hoping that maybe you guys will find some new ones. Now, not all hand positions mean anything, as with everything, but you put yourself in the position of what you see carved into the wall, painted on the papyrus in the museum, and feel the energy. And it's like, wow, they knew what they were doing, way ahead of anything else that we can conceivably think of as energy healing or energy work today. It's really, really, really powerful, really old. And, speaking of really old, we now hear from Mateos de Stefano that he was there in Egypt, some 12, 13,000 years ago, when it was by the name of Kemp. And this goes way beyond, the archaeology, looking back at, 5,000 years, 6,000 years ago. We have a period where we really don't have much history regarding not only Egypt and the temples and the pyramids, but other places as well. So some of you will have lifetimes beyond lifetimes, as we would think of it, based on the knowledge we have right now. So one of the things that I have learned over time, I've shared with Claudia, is about the thought field. Now, the thought field is a energy field around the head. So if I was to have you think of something that, let's say, is stressful, causes you some anxiety or frustration or sadness, as you think of that, I could actually pull that energy out of your thought field. So I say I can, but she can do it too. So don't put it all on me. Claudia is very good at this. But what about putting something into your thought field? You know, if we wanted to put a memory or a way to recall things from the past, put it in your thought field, give you something to work with. So that's what we want to do right now. Everyone, take a moment, take a couple of breaths. And what we're going to do is the intention is to put memory or bring memory back and put it into your consciousness. So it's like as an outside source, as we're pulling the energy in and sending it to you of a time, a beautiful time, let's say when you were in Egypt. And let's just go ahead and do that. So just let your consciousness be open, your mind be open. For some of you, it may just be a memory of the temples or the Valley of the Kings, the beautiful paint, how everything looked 10, 12,000 years ago when everything was fresh and new. So let's put that in there right now.
That's good.
So we put in only what's for your highest good at this time. The rest of it will come when you're there, hopefully. So what are the sights? What are the smells? What are the sounds? What is the knowing? Say to yourself out loud 3 times, I remember Egypt. All right. Now, some of you are kind of in that memory right now. But what I'd like is a quick sharing from a couple of people of what you experienced, what came in as a vision, as a knowing, what went into your thought field, what is in your consciousness as a result of that.
And if you don't feel comfortable, talking, you can just chat away.
Maybe you're just into it right now and don't feel like chatting. And we get that.
Okay, so we had someone, Anastasia says she felt the heat and the dryness of the area. Cool. She also saw, sorry, Michael, Lyran. Lyrian people. Am I saying that right? Lyrian.
Lyrian? Okay.
Lyran people. Do they have a connection with Egypt?
Not familiar with Lyrian people. But that will be something to explore for sure.
They are from there. Yes. It feels like there was a small community.
So Claudia is getting that they were from their small community of people. So great. be something to look for. Something that's probably not in the history books. And that's the things that we like to find. All right.
Okay, Vicky's not getting anything. We'll write that down.
Anyone else?
She said it was a planet in the galactic wars where it was destroyed, but some of them survived, benevolent people and civilization.
Okay. So planet in the galactic wars with survivors that ended up on Earth. Very interesting.
Well, you're also part of the Andromedans.
Yes, I mean, I was there from Andromeda and helped build the step pyramid at Saqqara. So there's a lot of history that's been left out.
Okay, so we got, all right. Oh, she says the faces look like cats with human bodies. So
Okay.
that's cool. Astra says she saw a man with a beard who looked like he was teaching. Then another man playing the piano. Let's see. Sorry, my thing. Okay. The piano really well. She also saw an 1880s woman walking with a parasol.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So some of these things that we remember, you know, if you were there in the 1800s, they would have had pianos. The women would have had carousel, you know, had their umbrellas and long dresses and things, because tourism was going on in Egypt even then. So if you were there at that time, yes, that can be a memory. Doesn't have to be thousands of years ago.
Andrea says she sees tall green grass. She thinks it's by the Nile. She's standing in the grass with some type of equipment. Maybe she was a farmer.
Okay. So the grasses, the reeds along the Nile, is what that feels like, Andrea. And of course, when we're up on the deck in the boat, going, you know, downriver, it's amazing because you have this green patch that goes out an eighth of a mile to quarter mile from the river. And then beyond that, you're in the desert. And one side might be a little more narrow. You look at the other side of the river and it's a little bit wider. And it's all about, you know, when the rivers would flood, how far out the banks would expand to in the silt. And that made it what we call the fertile Nile. And beyond that, yes, you are in desert. But those reeds and grasses along the banks, that is very accurate.
There we go.
Okay.
That's it. Should we move on?
All right. So let's move on down to Philae. Temple of Isis. If you have a piece of paper, write on that piece of paper, just something small that you can put on the floor in front of you. Write Temple of Isis. Give everyone a chance to. What we're going to do is we're going to use that as an anchor for the frequency of the temple. That's why we don't need the, we just need Temple of Isis. Some of you, also another way of doing it is Isis Temple. Nice and short. Hopefully everyone is ready. If you're not, let us know. We're actually going to bring, we're going to use that as an anchoring point and bring the energy of the Isis Temple, Temple of Isis, into your room where you are. So is everyone ready? Is there anyone who's not ready?
Everyone looks ready.
All right. So first off, pay attention to the frequency, the energy of the room that you are in right now. What it feels like. You are familiar with this room. You've been sitting there for the last half hour. All right, so we are going to transform the room into the Holy of Holies frequency of the Isis temple. All right. Now, for some of you, it might be like, what just happened? And one thing you can do, if you'd like to, is just get up and walk out of the room and feel the difference in the next room, in the hallway, or whatever. Feel the difference when you walk back into the room. Every temple has a different frequency. When you multiply the length of the room times the width of the room divided by the height of the room, then you get the frequency. And all of the temples, King's Chamber and the Great Pyramid, everything is designed based on frequency. So there is an exact dimension, length and width and height that goes into it. Some of you that, let's say, have a good ear, you can actually tone and find out what the frequency is by the tone. So it's like the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, the King's Chamber is the note of A. So here in the Temple of Isis, the Holy of Holies, I actually get as a C. So you can actually tone or sing a C note, and there should be a nice resonance of that throughout the room. Now, I can tune into these things, but I don't know one note from another. So I actually cannot do that. I just have to trust my intuition. All right, so as you are experiencing this frequency of being in the Holy of Holies at the Temple of Isis, again, is there anything you'd like to share? Quick, something about your experience, the changing of the frequency of the room, or what you're experiencing in the room with that frequency right now? That would be great. How is it affecting you? Sometimes it's hard to put the words, but give it a try. We'd like to hear from you.
You know, it's really quite interesting. As I sit here, I'm singing different notes, and it's like the room feels like it's much larger, like I'm getting more of an echo. Like it's like the vibrations that I'm feeling through my body are much more intense than if I was just doing this beforehand.
Okay, great.
Very cool. Thank you, Addison.
Mm-hmm.
We got some folks here. Esther says she feels love. Nice.
Okay, great.
So Anastasia said my body's heated up and nose is running. So it feels like something is releasing or clearing. Very cool.
All right.
Okay. Let's see, Mari. She says, I feel very, very calm and protected. Very nice. Thank you.
Great.
Vicky says she feels very open and calm and airy. Awesome. So it seems like calm is the vibe. Andrea, I'm feeling the temple vices mostly in my heart and crown. I feel my heart opening. I also sang the note of C before you mentioned it. That's cool. That's very cool. All right. Let's see. I think that's it. Very cool. Thank you for feedback. Appreciate it.
Right. So when we are in the temples, of course, like I said, I'm going to be giving you the algorithms, and Claudia and I will be tuning into all other aspects of things that we can give you to help you have the best of the best temple experience. Of course, the temple vices will be one for everyone, whereas others will be, you'd be more drawn to the hot doors or the Temple of Horus or something of that nature.
Very fun.
Okay, so we're going to let that run for a little bit as we continue here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Abu Simbel before we move down there. Now, one of the things, I said was like, it's out of like the phoenix, things rise out of the ashes. And, the Temple of Isis had to be moved to high ground when they built the first dam. And then we go down to Abu Simbel. And for anyone that really likes to get into history and construction and all of that stuff, you can actually go back and look at all of what went into totally dismantling the Abu Simbel complex and moving it to high ground when they were building the high dam, because it was going to be totally lost forever. It's going to be just buried under the water. So all of these different countries all came together and they took it apart, moved it up to high ground, put it back together, and even frequency, energy-wise, it is still intact. So, like I'm saying, it was on the verge or the edge of destruction, and like the phoenix, it was reconstructed, reborn, so that we can all be there. Now, it is one of the, I would say, most spectacular sites, second to, being at the Great Pyramid and the other pyramids there in Cairo. We look at the momentous size of the temples of Karnak and Luxor. It's not that big, but the construction of it and the energetics of it is like really, really, really fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and
Get the Christianity.
we're going to move the energy of the Isis temple out of your space. So we're going to flip the switch, and you're no longer going to be in the Isis temple. How's that sound? Going to move you somewhere. Here we go. We're turning that energy off. That's another way of looking at it. All right. So now we can be at Abu Simbel. All right. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to bring the energy of Abu Simbel. Don't even need to write it on a piece of paper. Just going to bring it in right now. Whole different vibe, frequency, energy than the Temple of Isis, of course. Now, on 2 trips, 2 separate occasions, I have run across people at Abu Simbel that were parts of religious groups. I remember one in particular from Texas. They were traveling throughout, Egypt and looking for the origins of Christianity, because there is so much, let's say, pre-Christian energy in the art and things of that nature, what was adopted into what is now Christianity. So there would be some opportunity there to look at, you know, some of that as far as what's carved into the walls. And sometimes it's a little stretch of the imagination, but other times it's not at all. As we know, the Ankh, the Egyptian Ankh is very, you know, prominent throughout all of Egypt, and it's because it is a symbol of life, the energy of life. And we have, you know, been looking at that as a symbol, as a shape for years, and really not understanding it. So for those of you that, let's say, need a reminder, here is the Ankh. Okay. Now, what I have discovered over the years is the Ankh can be held by the arms and energy projected through the, I will say, the eye or the loop here. It can be pointed at the, let's say, the leg of it. It can be pointed at the body for healing. It can be laid on the body for healing. And when we change the position of it on the body, the healing frequencies going into the body all change as far as where they're going and what they're doing. And there are other things. So the Ankh is a fascinating object of antiquity that I think is very misunderstood, because everyone is just looking at it as, you know, it's being held in the hand by the side, and it's a symbol of life. I think the best representation is King Tut's tomb, where in the golden outer laying of the bigger part of the coffin, you see the sun, and the rays of the sun are coming down, and at the end of the ray is a little hand, and in that little hand is the Ankh, and that is being fed to the pharaoh. Now, because it's near his nose and face, some people say that he is inhaling. Now, I have actually done this on stage, where I actually take and send the energy, have everyone open their mouths and take the Ankh in, and the energy of it, the energy of life going into the body, is very powerful. So from my experience, I would say that it's being fed. And we can look at that and say, well, that is exactly what they do with the bread and wine. You know, we are given the host in the Catholic Church, and in some other churches, it might be some type of soda cracker or something of that nature. But as you tip your head back and the priest gives you the host, it is the symbol very similar to feeding the Ankh into the body as the energy of life. So if for any of you that want to try to tie some of that together, you'll have a great opportunity to do that. Now, as you are in this energy right now of Abu Simbel, just as we did earlier with Isis, I'd like for you to go ahead and give a little feedback of what you're experiencing with this one that might be a little different than your experience with the Isis energy.
A word comes to mind for me is stillness. It's just kind of very still. Like in this room right now, it's just very, the energy is still, like in a really good way, like really positive way, calming way.
Okay, good.
Nice, thank you. Oops. Let's take that. Here we have Esther. She also feels a stillness too.
Oh, good.
Thank
Someone
you.
else feeling that same stillness.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, one more, sorry. Vicky, I felt very warm and also feel the stillness. Nice. Thank you, Vicky.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to leave you in the stillness for a little bit. And I'd like to ask Ruth to step in, give a few comments on these sites or any aspect of this that it'd be more in line with Egyptology, because what we're looking at from our end is definitely not going to follow the Egyptology plan when we're looking at it energetically like this. So Ruth, is there anything that you would like to share at this time?
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to mind is, one of the things I like to always bring out is that we're looking at a huge amount of time. And as Aaron said, it may go much earlier even than what Egyptology tells us. But if we even stay just within that, it's still an amazing amount of time. I mean, it's over 3,000 years. And so often when people are, there are different shows about Egypt and things like that, the tendency is to present it like it all happened at the same time. But actually, the major like the things that we see in Giza and places like that, we have Old Kingdom, and then we have New Kingdom, and then we have the Greek Ptolemaic time. In each of those, there's 1,000 years between each of those. So when you were at Abu Simbel, that was during the New Kingdom. And when we went to the Isis temple, that was in the Greek era, so 1,000 years later. However, the temples that were built during the Greek era were still built on sacred sites. So the sites themselves carry energy that goes way, way, way back. So we may be in buildings that were built during the Greek era, but the place, the energy of the place, will have layers and layers and layers of various experiences that are there to be gleaned, that are there to be, that you can become aware of. And depending on where your own personal lifetimes are, then you will, us as a group, some people may be tuning into one era and somebody else another, but it's all happening in the same place. Okay. Now I do have photos of all these places. So just tell me when you'd like me to share those, okay?
All right then. Well, let's check back in with everyone that is feeling the energy of Abu Simbel. Is there anyone else that has a comment on that?
Oh, I just want to put something in about Abu Simbel, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so everything in Egypt, Egypt became Egypt because of that flooding of the Nile that Aaron mentioned before, right? And so there were a lot of different stories about the source of the Nile, okay? And at Abu Simbel, there were two caves. And the story is that these caves were sacred to the goddess. And the goddess is what made the flood come, that brought the fertile soil that then allowed them to have their crops and all this kind of stuff. So there were these two caves that were there. And when Ramses II decided he wanted to build a temple there, he one of the caves is dedicated to the masculine gods. But think about it. This has been a place for the goddess, right? And he's putting his masculine temple there. So it would be wise for him to also honor the feminine, right? So what he did was the smaller cave was turned into a temple for the goddess Hathor, all right? And so there are two temples at Abu Simbel.
Okay, all right, thank you, Ruth. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and flip the switch here on Abu Simbel and just kind of that nice, calm, still room, we're just gonna get rid of it. But we're not gonna end there. We're gonna go ahead and create a down vortex for all of you to just kind of de-stress and chill out. So right now, it's gonna be clockwise rotation and create a down vortex. All right, can everyone feel that vortex? Just give us a thumbs up, a nod, or something.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Cool.
So now, Ruth, first off, I don't know if you have the things in an order, but I'd really love the balloon ride first. That would be kind of quick. That's possible, but if you have them in a certain order already, we're fine with that.
Well, interestingly enough, you had asked me to do some different sites and I had them all organized. But then when I tuned in here, I realized that was pretty unwieldy to be opening and closing folders and all this stuff. So I put them all into one. So they're kind of in order, but they're not exact.
Okay. No, whatever you got, that's fine.
But they're all the things that you asked for. So shall I go ahead and share those?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me just see if I can okay, it's there. Okay. So I do a share. Okay. So what are you all seeing now?
You're seeing all the pictures of the photos.
Oh, you're still only seeing the you're not seeing the
You seeing the thumbnails?
Thumbnails, yeah.
well, still seeing the thumbnails. Okay, okay, let me try again. Okay. Okay, what are you seeing now? You
Okay.
see the temple with the
Yes.
water?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the Isis temple, the place where we just were. And Aaron said that we take a boat to get there. We'll go in a motorboat to get there. Okay. And this is Abu Simbel, where we were just a minute ago also. Okay, that's the temple that is for the masculine deities. And this is the balloons. So this is, you see in the early morning, they light them up like that. And those are the balloons that go up over the West Bank. And I think I shared some of these last time, but Aaron asked me to also put some of this is in the Valley of the Kings. This is a particular tomb for Ramses 5 and 6. Look at all the stuff on the ceilings here and all the walls. Imagine that. So I've had people that just will stop in front of one of these walls and just allow the walls to speak to them, you know? So it's a really rich experience. This is another one of Abu Simbel, and if you look down, can you see my pointer? Can you
Yeah.
see the arrow?
Yes.
Okay, you see that little thing down there? That's a person.
Yeah.
That just gives you an idea how massive these are. Yeah. Okay. And this is when you go inside in Abu Simbel. That man that's there, he's about 6'4", so he's very tall. But you can see how impressive it is when you go inside. So this is the cave that was turned into a temple and was moved because of they made a lake and they had to move it up. This is what it looks like when you're in one of the balloons. Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry, these are all mixed up. So we're back to the Valley of the Kings inside, and you see how this is the sky goddess and all the stuff as you go along. This is what we see when we first approach the Temple of Isis from the water. And this is called Trajan's Kiosk. This is built by a Roman. But my personal feeling is that this is very, very strong for activating the throat chakra. So I have a strong attraction to this with that throat chakra energy. This is the inside Abu Simbel again. You can see how big the statues are. And when you're in the balloon, you'll be able to see here's a temple down here. So you get to look down the way Aaron was talking about being the hawk and flying over the temple. And you're in the balloon, it's like that. And one of the really neat things about the being in the balloon is that it's silent. You know, usually when we're in a vehicle, like you're in a car or whatever, you're hearing that hum of it. And once in a while, they'll turn on the flame to put more hot air in, but then they turn it off and it's just totally quiet. It's really a remarkable experience. So this is inside the tomb again. This is the sky goddess giving birth to the sun. And we're back at Abu Simbel. I'm sorry, these got all mixed up. Okay. And this is from the balloon again. This is looking down on the Mendet Habu temple, and we'll go to that temple on our last day in Luxor. Here we are at the Isis temple again with the throat chakra temple there. And that's in the tomb. Here's another one of that beautiful, beautiful. You know, when you're at Isis, you all may have felt it when we just did that activation, but it is just beautiful. Beauty is the word for the Isis temple, I think. Okay, this is the ceiling. You can see the birds here flying over. Those are goddesses that are flying overhead. And you see this is a temple here. This is a balloon over the temple. Again, we're at Abu Simbel. This is that throat chakra temple there at Isis temple. And this is in Abu Simbel. And one of the special things is that 2 days in the year, the light shines all the way through from the entrance all the way through to the back here where there are 4 seated deities. So that's the god Ptah. He doesn't have his head, but that's who it is. This is the god Amun, and this is the god Horus. And this right here is the king himself, representing himself as a deity. Can you guess what this is now? You recognize it, right? That's that temple with the beautiful throat chakra stuff. And I put this one in here. I did a larger one because I know that something that this is the temple for the goddess at Abu Simbel. You see how he is doing the hand gesture here? This is the king here, and the person in front of him is the goddess Ma'at. She's the goddess of truth and justice. And if you know, like Buddhism, it's like the Wu Wei. It's the right path. And you see how he's doing this gesture? So that you'll be seeing these different gestures. And the way this is translated in Egyptology is that it is showing like a like when you say praise be unto you, that sort of thing. So he's saying that to her. And then it has the different things here. Here's your Ankh that Aaron talked about, the Ankh, the life force energy, or chi or prana. This is stability. This is mastery, having mastery in your life. This is having good health, seneb. And this is the hieroglyph combination for joy. So he's giving all those concepts to the goddess here. Here we are back at Abu Simbel for the temple of the goddess, for the goddess Hathor. And here it is from the outside, the Isis temple. And then when we're going inside the Isis temple, this is how we approach it, through this big open courtyard. And then here's the temple entrance right here. This is inside the Hathor chapel at Abu Simbel. Now we're going inside the Isis temple, and goes a little closer. You can see here it has the goddess Isis on this side and the goddess Hathor on this side. So in the old times, in the Old Kingdom, Hathor was the primary goddess, and in the New Kingdom, Isis became more popular, and then in the Greek era, she is very popular, but they are really a pair, like the goddess with their many names. Here's the Hathor again. This is in the Isis temple. Hathor has the little cow's ears here. And in the Greek, they sometimes put a little pearl in there. And here are Isis and Hathor blessing the queen. So you see, again, this is a particular gesture, which is the blessing gesture. And you see how they have the ankhs in their hands here as well. And even the queen has her own ankh. Okay. And this is the Holy of Holies of the Isis temple. And this is the altar, where the sacred stone in the center of the Holy of Holies.
So one of the things that we hope to do is to actually activate the Holy of Holies for everyone there at the Isis temple. So we will have a really rich shared experience with that temple. Something that's very unique for our group.
Great. And you may recognize this person here in the Galabea. That's Aaron when he was with me at the Isis temple before. This is at the Isis temple. See, there's the Hathor column there. And there's Aaron. And I thought I'd give you a little preview because look, it's the back of the book. See the barcode there? And this is the front of the book. So this is your tour book. Those of you that are coming with us, you'll have that. That's the front of the book, and this is the back of the book. Okay? So I'll stop the share here.
Thank you, Ruth. That was great.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, and someone had wanted to say something. Let me just check. Oh, Kathy, just want to say, I have to say it again. I love Ruth. She is amazing. That's awesome. Yes, she is.
All right.
Thank you, Ruth.
So everyone has been in their down vortex, kind of chilling out as Ruth has been sharing all this great insight for us. And we are going to actually try to get on out of here and not keep everyone too long. But if someone has a quick question or something to share, we want to acknowledge that before we go. We're going to leave you with your down vortex for another half an hour for those of you that would like to meditate in it. And it will just shut off in about a half an hour.
What if they don't want to?
And if you don't want to, if you take your left hand and go counterclockwise 3 times, and you go vortex off, vortex off, vortex off 3 times, you can turn it off. How about that for simple? But we know nobody's going to really want to turn it off.
Any last questions before we go for ourselves or for Ruth?
Well, anybody excited yet about the trip?
You folks are probably all getting some sort of downloads. It's been pretty active. Let's see. Yes, Kathy, yes, Kathy's excited. Awesome. Anybody want to ask if they're getting a download or anything specific they've seen in their dreams so far? We're very excited, so excited for this trip. Awesome.
I just want to say it again. I said it last time, but I'll just reiterate that the whole trip is really in 3 chapters. There's all the stuff that happens beforehand, and we're doing that now, and it's coming to each one of us in our own way. Then there'll be the chapter while we're in Egypt together. And then there is this huge chapter afterwards where there's all the integration and who knows what may even be evolving with that. So we're already all in it. And even those of you who aren't going to physically be there with us, you can tune into us while we're there. And the miracles will continue.
That's right. And of course, when we come back, we're going to be sharing some of our great insights and discoveries and energy and everything. So get you ready for the next trip.
Okay.
And also, just a little reminder for those who are coming, if you haven't gotten the WhatsApp app yet, it's a really nice way for us to, share easily with each other. You can share pictures, and I can let you know about new updates and things like that. And it's the way that they communicate in Egypt. So just a reminder that it's not everybody will maybe do that. Not everybody is that interested in technology, but it is a really handy thing if you do. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
we are going to say good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys.
Appreciate
All right.
it. Thank you.
See you in Egypt.
All right. See you in Egypt. How fun.